What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Post-Gazette Pirates YouTube channel. He's Andrew Destin. I am Noah Hiles. It is Thursday, which means it's time for another Pirates mailbag. As always, all of our content on this channel is brought to you by Greenewalt Roofing. Big thanks to them for their support for all of our Pirates content on YouTube. Andrew, there's no need for small talk. Let's just get right after it. We got a lot of questions. We're going to jump right into it. Officially more than a week into spring training, so the people have questions they need answered. First question comes from Alec. What should the expectations be for Henry Davis at this point? Any chance he can still be an everyday player down the road, or has he already been relegated to bust territory? You could start on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's too early to say. And I know that might be, short-sighted or not seem like it's the right answer on our end, considering this is a guy who was a 2021 draft pick, and now we're entering year 4 of him being with the organization. But the reality is that this is a guy who's had less than a full year's worth of major league at-bats.
Yeah.
His time in the minor leagues has been relatively short. And he's made a lot of tangible changes. He put a lot of effort in over last offseason to be a better defensive catcher. He achieved that and is now league average. And he made tweaks to his swing that didn't go as planned.
Yeah.
They didn't work out. So give it some time. We're a ways away from the bust territory. For a frame of reference, Joey Bart was drafted in 2018 by the Giants and 2019, and they didn't give up on him until 2024. So that's at least a 5 to 6 year gap. With the Pirates, they haven't even hit year 4. So with that in mind, I think we're at least a year away from being able to use the bust word with Henry Davis.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's only played 99 big league games. He has, I think, at least another year or two before you could throw that title on him. And then he's also been really good at every level of professional baseball besides the highest one. I mean, if you look at his numbers in AAA, he's dominated, AA dominated. And that's not to say he's going to figure it out. I mean, some guys never figure it out in that final level. But yeah, I don't know necessarily what his path to being an everyday player is. If it's just simply outplaying Joey Bart and Endy Rodriguez, if it's an injury that leads him to his opportunity, whatever.
Right.
But I mean, the Pirates are banking on him being an everyday player one day because he was a first overall pick. You can't just give up on those guys after 99 games of not being what you would hope they'd be. Move on now. Chief wants to know if the Pirates' main move of the offseason is still ahead of us, particularly in the outfield, who are some options hypothetically that you can make sense as a potential trade partner? I'll start here.
Yep.
The main move of the offseason narrative, I think, needs to come to an end. Number one, simply because it's not the offseason anymore.
Right.
It's spring training. Like, the season is underway. This is the preseason, but that means it's not the offseason anymore. And also, main move, and this isn't me critiquing the report or whatever. It's just, what does that even mean, main move? Or it's a very subjective term, right?
Sure.
Where it's just like, does that mean it's a bigger move than the Horowitz trade? Are we measuring it by years of control, money? I don't know. So when people ask me this question, I don't necessarily know how to answer it. Do I think they could make a move between now and opening day? Sure. Do I think that maybe there will be one external roster addition? Yeah, probably. I don't think it's going to be, they're not going to bring in Shohei Ohtani or anything. I mean,
sure.
I think that you could maybe see another move similar to like a Tommy Pham sized addition, something around $3 to $4 million of a free agent, or adding on that much in payroll through trade. But this is a weird time to make baseball trades, Andrew, or even like a buyer, a seller versus buyer type trade. We're at a place now where teams are really more focused on evaluating their internal roster than coming in and making any additions. There will come that time in late March, right before opening day, where guys are deciding, hey, I don't know if this guy's going to be on the roster. Let's move him, or we'll put him on waivers. But we're not there yet. So I don't see a huge move of note coming between now and opening day.
Yeah, the only big move I could potentially see if there was to be one, and explore this in the written mailbag, is that I think the Boston Red Sox, to some degree, would make some sense as a trade partner because you look at the turmoil that they're kind of undergoing right now after the Alex Bregman signing is that, hey, you might have an odd man out when it comes to Bregman, Triston Casas, Rafael Devers. Maybe if there was a big name to be thrown out there that could be an impending movable target, maybe the Red Sox make sense as a trade candidate. But
or the Orioles.
Or the Orioles.
Yeah, with all their they've got approximately 30,000 outfielders.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are a couple teams that maybe make sense, but in terms of reporting anything on our end, at least me speaking personally, not hearing anything imminent on the Pirates front.
I agree. We'll move on now. Todd wants to know who will teach Oneil Cruz to play center field and what MLB ballparks will challenge him the most. Well, Andrew, we actually talked to the guy who will be teaching him how to play center field. So yeah. I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, base running coach, first base coach, as well as outfield coach Termarr Brock. Had a good conversation with him today or on Wednesday, we should say, as well as talked to Oneil Cruz about him making that adjustment to center field, doing so on a full-time basis. My expectation is it'll be Termarr Brock as well as a lot of input from Tommy Pham, who, was somebody that Oneil Cruz basically unabashedly said that he helped recruit to bring to the Pirates and expressed that desire of, they had a mutual friend in former Pirate Gregory Polanco. Believe it or not, they were playing together in the Dominican Republic in some winter ball. And basically it came to the fruition of, hey, we'd love to bring Tommy Pham to the Pirates. And he said clearly, hey, I'm going to hold Oneil Cruz accountable. I'm going to try to light a fire underneath him and bring out the best in him. So I would say Brock and Pham are going to be two guys that are going to be influential voices with Cruz.
I really don't have much to add because that's the answer to the question. And I think that's good. I just, Brock has coached a lot of outfielders here in all different shapes and sizes. Cruz is unlike anything he's coached in Pittsburgh, probably in his entire career. I don't know if he's ever coached anyone with that type of skill set because I don't know how many baseball players have existed with that height plus that speed plus that strength plus that arm.
Right.
He's just kind of a unicorn, for lack of a better word there. So the coaching, having that setup plan like Brock has talked about, and then Tommy Pham coming in to give Cruz some accountability, I think is a good thing. Triple Triolo wants to know, at what point will we see Termarr Johnson in Pittsburgh? I'll say probably not going to be this year.
No.
Tamar's an interesting case because it feels like we've been talking about him forever, but he's only 20 years old. So it's like he's got some time. It might be a couple more years. And that's okay if it is. Granted, like the Pirates could use any sort of good bat possible. And he's one of a few to keep an eye on in this farm system, but he needs more time to develop. He just got to Double-A at the very end of last year. He's going to need 100+ games in Double-A and probably 100+ games in Triple-A before he's big league ready, which means it's going to be a couple years. I say best case scenario, we see him at the end of 26. If that's best case scenario where he dominates in Double-A, gets a Triple-A call up in the second half of this year, starts next year in Triple-A, eventually gets his opportunity in the major leagues. If all goes according to best case scenario.
Yeah, and that's assuming that there's a clear-cut spot for him too,
right? That's true.
This is a guy who's a second baseman by trade. I mean, shortstop is what they drafted him as, but at least in my humble opinion, I don't think he's going to be an MLB caliber shortstop, let alone second base might be challenging, and there's plenty of guys there, whether it's Nick Gonzalez, whether it's Nick York, whether it's even Jared Triolo. Maybe Termarr Johnson has to move to the outfield, and maybe there is a spot for him in, say, left field by 2026. But I think there's so many factors at play here, namely the most important one being his development, not rushing that. This is a guy who is a high school kid who, yes, has a polished swing, but there's no need to rush him. I'm with you, Noah, not till 2026.
The Crow's Nest wants to know who is in line to get high leverage looks before the 8th inning, assuming Holderman and Bednar have the back end. What's the competition look like for the Bridge squad? I think the easy answer here is Kyle Nicholas.
Yeah.
I think he's first in line. And then Dennis Santana. I mean, those were two guys who progressively got more leverage opportunities as the season went on last year. They're two of the better development successes the Pirates have had in the bullpen category. And I think both of them are going to get a pretty strong look.
Yeah. Oh, I think so too. Those are two names to keep an eye on. The only other name I would throw in there in terms of the righties, and I'm sure we can get into lefties too, is maybe Carmen Majinski.
Yeah.
I think he's more so better in that bulk role.
Yeah.
He's better in the 5th, 6th inning role where it can still be a competitive game, but let's say the starter only goes 4 innings. he's got that starter's background. He can cover the 5th and the 6th for you and do so fine. And then whoever comes in 7, 8, 9, you can keep that traditional role there. But maybe Majinski pitches his way into more of a leverage role. I mean, you look at the stats; he's really been good the last 2 years.
He has been, and I think Carmen's just a guy where you could throw him in any situation, from opener to 8th and 9th inning. I think he's qualified to do just about everything. As far as lefties are concerned, Ferguson, I think, is the best lefty on the roster. But I don't know how they're going to exactly use him, because it seems like he might get some opportunities to start as well. And then everyone else, you look at Meza, you look at Wentz, you look at Baraki. If assuming, in this scenario, he would be on the major league roster. All those guys are primary, just lefty on lefty, which could lead to a leverage situation, being that, if there's a team that has 2 lefties due up to start the 8th inning,
right,
that's when you pitch a Tim Meza. But if we're talking just your best arm to get you to Holderman and Bednar, it's Nicholas and Santana, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, our 2 bonus questions for this week's mailbag. We go to Nathan. Who are some names that stick out the most for improvement with Matt Hague being brought in as a pitching coach? There's 1 name that 2 names that actually immediately pop in my mind. I want to see. You want to say them at the count of 3?
Yeah, you know what? Let's try. Let's give it a go. Okay.
All right. Top name that makes sense. 1, 2, 3. Brian Hayes. Okay. It was your other one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jack and Brian are the answer to this question.
Yep.
It's just is what it is. Jack Sawinski had a lot of swing problems last year. Brian Hayes has had a lot of just issues with his back, and he's already making swing tweaks. And, I think a new hitting coach will do him well. So those are 2 guys that I think could benefit the most from this.
Yeah, and it's understandable because these are guys who have gone outside the organization for hitting help in the past, notably Brian Hayes with John Nunnally, and had a conversation with Jack Sawinski recently talking about that he went and hit with the guy who is the hitting coach per se for Max Muncy of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm very curious to see how those kinds of conversations, are they on the same page with what Matt Hague is preaching? How do they differ? Those are the kind of things to keep tabs on. But I think, this is a different brain trust that we have on the hitting side now in Pittsburgh on the Pirates front with Hague. I think it's going to be a different philosophy. Very curious to see how those mesh with Hayes and with Sawinski.
Final question. This is the hard-hitting one that you only get on YouTube. It comes from Jim. If this was asked to Andrew, but if you both each took 20 BP swings with a metal bat, how many homers could you hit? None. I mean, for me, none. I haven't played organized baseball in what will be 12 years now. So, I mean, in my day, could I hit a home run or 2 at Burgestown High School field during BP? I think I might have put a couple out. But I was 5'8", 165, 70 pounds in high school. I wasn't known for my power tool. Andrew's probably a guy who probably hit a couple more out in the seats than me.
Well, I never hit a homer in high school.
No?
But we also had a huge field, so that plays into it. But the closest I came is that I hit one off the wall in left field at St. Mary's College, the college basketball powerhouse.
Yeah.
Played a tournament there one time and hit one off the base of the wall left. That was 330. And then 2 summers after that, it was actually when I went to college, I parked one with a Woody in a game, but that was 330 down the line. And it was like just barely fair, got every inch of my swing into it. So I don't know. You give me a metal bat today at these fields. No, I'm saying 0.
Yeah.
I'm hyping myself up.
No, let's for the sake of this question, let's say we're on a little league field.
Yeah.
20 swings. I think I can get 8 out.
That was going to be my guess for myself.
Yeah, because I'm going to pop a couple up.
You'll roll over a few.
Yeah.
And then you'll get into a groove and get 3 or 4 in a row.
If it's like old school home run derby, though, but just double the amount, I think I could get 8 out.
Yeah, I like that. We're not putting on any Josh Hamilton performances.
No, absolutely not. He's Andrew Destin. I'm Noah Hiles. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And big thanks to everyone who has subscribed. Very, very pleased with how our numbers are looking right now. So we're gonna call it a show. We're gonna hear from our sponsor one time real quick, Greenewalt Roofing. and then we will see you again on the Post-Gazette Pirates YouTube channel.
Hey, Pittsburgh. When you think of great roofs, you think Greenewalt Roofing Company. With over 20 years experience, Greenewalt knows your roof is your home's first line of defense. From rain, wind, snow, and ice. That's why Greenewalt Roofing's standard for perfection is so important. You can trust that their team of experienced installers will treat your property like it's their own. When it comes to roof replacements, Greenewalt Roofing is Pittsburgh's only choice. Visit greenewaltroofing.com today or call 412-314-8882 to schedule your free estimate. VA contractor number 36262.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.